Welcome to episode 30 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest, CEO of Sottile Fashions, Betler Mendicino. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and this is the show where we get to sit down with amazing guests. And today we got Jennifer on the show so we can find out all about her 24 hours and how she is maximizing on her time. And I just remember when we first got together, just so I can get some more context really quick, we did a nomination for people to be able to be on the show, and a lot of former guests that were on the show got the opportunity to nominate people, and you were a name that fell into my lap. We got together for coffee, and ultimately, it was a very great conversation. I loved it. I would love to try to recreate that here. We should have had the cameras rolling then, but it's going to be good to be able to do it now, so I'm so excited to have you on. The story you're going to share is great. Overall, this is going to be like one of my favorite episodes. So
thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. So for people who don't know who you are yet, why don't you give us your name, your background, and just a little bit about what you're doing right now with your business.
I'm Betler Mendicino. Not originally from Pittsburgh originally.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Virginia, raised in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm new. I still consider myself a newbie here. I've been here for almost 20 years, but I still can't, I don't know. I'm a Southern girl. This is my roots.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't break that. I mean, but you have been here for a while. You've definitely been able to make some great connections and do some great things here. So, and what about your business and a little bit about that and, what maybe have brought you here?
Well, I have a women's boutique, Sottile Fashions, on Brookline Boulevard. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's what I do. It's my full-time thing between personal styling and, fashion for the ladies. Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
Yeah, and you're killing it. I mean, you got nominations for, what was it recently?
Boutique of the Year.
And you're... And deservingly so, because you're killing
it.
So now let's get into your origin story a little bit. Mm-hmm. Find out a little bit about yourself and how you grew up and raised, and some of the things that inspired you and all that good stuff.
Well, like I said, I was born in Virginia, country family. Very quaintly small. Father was in the military, so we did travel around a lot. And then went to high school. Started to develop some health issues when I was in high school. Started with some kidney stones, ended up with a lot of kidney stones, 7 kidney surgeries later. I over 100 kidney stones I've passed in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where it all began. So,
So what was it like growing up?
Growing up was good. I traveled a lot. I got to see a lot of places, and I think further north was Wisconsin, so we were there for almost a year and a half. That was fun. 3 feet of snow, and you still have to go to school. So, get on out to the driveway. Yeah, buses come trucking through it. So, that was an experience. But, yeah life was good. Life was good.
So, what were your parents like, and what did they do? I know you said your father was in the military?
Yep.
Okay. What about mom?
My mom was a nurse, and then, then she went into real estate. So, then my dad was a pilot for Delta Airlines after he left the military.
Any siblings or anything like that?
I have an older sister.
Okay.
22 months to the day older.
Okay. And what was that experience like growing up with a sister?
For the most part, Susan and I were close. We still are. We had our, ups and downs, but we, ultimately stayed tight. She was kind of like my main source to school, so I had to be nice. She was the first one to drive, first one to get the car, so I had to play nice with her sometimes. But yeah, we were good. We were close.
Gotcha. And what was it about the things that you do now? Was there anything in your childhood that inspired you to kind of eventually go into the fashion route? Take us through that. What were some of those in the growing up years?
Listen, you're never gonna believe this one when I tell you this, because when I was young, I was always outside. I was barefoot. I was playing in the dirt. I was always dirty. Like, my mom was like, man, like, you are the dirtiest child. And then my sister and I would, you know, when we were younger, we did pageantry. Mm-hmm. And my mom would, like, tediously take her time on my sister because I was nowhere to be found. My butt was climbing trees. I was playing with the neighborhood boys. Mm-hmm. Like, I was not afraid to get dirty. Mm-hmm. So I would always trail in last minute. And then my mom would have to do something real fast, like put a bow in my hair and call it a day. Because I was usually teetering right on that fine line mark. But, yeah, like, you would never think that I would be one to go into fashion, you know, later on in life. But... Mm-hmm. Boy, did I surprise everybody, huh?
But you're doing a good job at it, too.
I like to keep everybody on their toes.
Right? Keep everybody surprised.
Yes.
Gotcha. So, you know, as you were traveling, you know, as you're growing up through all those different years, what eventually brought you to Pittsburgh?
My, now ex-husband, Dominic, we met in the Bahamas on vacation, just, you know, two people on vacation. And, you know, 6 months later, after long-distance dating, I moved here, and I've been here ever since. Mm-hmm. We had 10 years of marriage and 2 beautiful kids. And, yep, so we co-parent well, and, you know, we just worked better friends than we did. You know, things change over time, and you start to go in different directions, and, you know, sometimes having children can bring, you know, your priorities change a little bit. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
Yeah.
And you've pretty much been in Pittsburgh ever since then?
Ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take us through the amazing story of how you started up, like, the whole fashion thing. Because, like you said, you initially didn't even want to, you know, start it, or wasn't really even into it. You're playing in the mud and the dirt and stuff.
Yep.
Kind of just like, you know, you like to work and play and things like that. So how did you eventually get to the point of, you know, starting up this fashion line and things like that?
Well, when I was little, I was always determined I was either going to be a veterinarian or I was going to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. My mom was like, Jennifer, you'd be a great lawyer. So, because I'd argue with the brick wall if it was in front of me. I would, just to get my point across. So, yeah, I ended up coming to Pittsburgh, and I went to the median school to be a vet tech. Mm-hmm. And I did that for a while, and then it just wasn't for me. And then after I had my kids, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. Well, then once we got divorced, I had to kind of figure out what I'm going to, you know, what are you going to do with yourself, Jennifer, you know? I had to set an example. I had to be a role model. So I had to change everything. The way I was living was, you know, I had to do something completely different. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had to do. I had to do some soul searching, and then, you know, I had a forced hysterectomy at a young age, 27, actually, to be exact. Mm-hmm. So that just changes you, you know. So from being a stay-at-home mom to trying to find a career, I ended up just saying, what is it that's going to make me happy? And I had to start with myself, and that's where it all began. Crazy enough. Mm-hmm. Like, I was in my closet, I was going through my clothes, I was tired of feeling sorry for myself, and I just said, Jen, you got to do something. Like, you know, you can't go down like this. Mm-hmm. And I just started throwing clothes. I was just a hot mess. I was like, nope, you know, what makes me feel good? I feel like if I look good, I feel good, and then you find that, like, whole new inspiration to, you know, get yourself going. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. So I was like, you know what? I had a love for blazers, and I always wore shapewear underneath, especially since I had my kids, just to kind of get that smooth silhouette. And that's where it all began. I started cutting and sewing, finding a way that I can mold. I said, there has to be a way I can, you know, have all of this in one look. Mm-hmm. And that's where my first patent came in.
Right.
Yeah, it was women's shapewear that you can wear as a dress shirt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took a year and a half, but I did it. Right.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter how long it takes, you got it done.
I got it done.
I mean, and that's awesome that you actually came up with your own original product and got it patented.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. And I just love the story of it because, you know, you were a stay-at-home mom for 10 years.
Yes.
And, you know, that's pretty much what you did the past 10 years. And then, you know, that situation happened where you separated from your husband, and then you tried to pretty much try to find yourself. And a lot of people, you know, are in that situation where they're trying to find themselves, and you were able to find that in a tough situation. And I'm a firm believer in, you know, the greatest things are able to come out of tragedies and things like that. So how were you able to, like, what would you say was just some of the things that helped you get out of that, that rut, or just that mindset of, I can't be just sitting here anymore. Like, what was the defining moment for you?
You know what? I think I fought it for years, even during my marriage, because I had worked with my dad being in the military. My mom, I just always knew her to work. So that work ethic was instilled in us at a very young age, to know the value of a dollar and work for it and respect it. So when I was asked to be a stay-at-home mom from my ex-husband, I was thrown completely out of my element. So I was like, I kind of fought it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know. That in itself was a huge challenge for me. But after the divorce especially, and then it just wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Sitting there feeling sorry for myself was something that was very new to me. It wasn't me at all. Mm-hmm. And then looking at my kids, I'm supposed to be a role model to them. I'm supposed to be the person they look up to. So if I could find a way to pull myself out of what I was going through at the time, and just, stand up and be the woman that I know God wanted, I was made to be who I am today. I just had to find it. Mm-hmm. And I did. I prayed a lot. I cried a lot. But in the end, I chose to not be a victim of what I was going through. Mm. I refused.
Right. And what about like some maybe good advice or tips for other women that may be going through similar situations where they feel like, they're in such a situation that they feel like they maybe can't get out of, or, mm-hmm. They feel like, there's nothing at the end of the tunnel, or, take us through like maybe some of the things that helped you the most, and how can someone else that may be in a similar situation, how can they get out of it?
Well, you know what? In the end, I asked myself a lot of questions, like, is this possible? I really want to do it. In my heart of hearts, I knew this is what I really, wanted to do ultimately, because it's what made me feel better. It's what brought me to life. And when you have something that you feel so passionately about that it just brings you life, why not go for it? You know what I mean? Nothing was stopping me at that point but excuses. Mm. You know what I mean? There was nothing that was actually holding me back but myself. Mm. And I was my biggest challenge up until that point. I mean, my life up until that point was battle from my, kidneys at a young age to the hysterectomy to all the little surgeries in between. My life was never easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I never should have expected this to be either. Mm. But for anyone out there, women especially, who feel like they have, what am I going to do? I can't do this. I want to, but I can't. Mm-hmm. You can find it within yourself to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I've sat and I've told myself that even to this day, I still have to tell myself and I have to remind myself that there's nothing standing in my way but me. My life can be whatever I want it to be. Mm-hmm. It's just, how am I going to get myself there? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then out of that, you created your own original product. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. To be honest, I think you may be the first person to be on the show that created their own original product. So take us through that process. Because it's very rare and very difficult to come up with your own original product. Like, how did that come about? What was that process like?
Hey, that just happened by chance too, because when I was in the middle of throwing things in and out of my closet, I had an overabundance of shapewear. So the Spanx lady was brilliant in her concept of, how she came up, which that whole concept was by chance too, which is an amazing story. Mm-hmm. But I thought there has to be a way that I can have all of these pieces, this piece to shape, the midsection, this piece for the arms, this piece, for your, rear end, all of these pieces. I shouldn't have to wear 20 pieces, because by the time I put them on, I'm sweating. I've lost 5 pounds. I'm exhausted. The curls are out of my hair because I've sweat them out. I'm just like, woo!
Right. You wore it out.
You're kidding me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then whenever you go out, you have to make sure everything stays in place. Mm. You sit down and then things start to roll up and you're like, man, all that work just went away in about 2 seconds. So I said there has to be a way that all of these things here can be put into one piece. Mm-hmm. And then I don't want to put it under anything either. I want to be able to wear it just like it is. Mm-hmm. And that's how it happened. I told you, I started cutting things. I said, this piece needs to go here. I like this piece for this. I was buying unnecessary things just
Were you
to get a
cutting
little
pieces
bit of
from
piece.
like other clothing that you had and started mishmatching stuff together?
That's exactly what I did. I took all of my shapewear, cut it, and then just ended up doing just a pretty terrible stitching at the time. It was just a prototype. I was like, I just have to see if this is possible.
Right. Now, did you do any like stitching beforehand, or, like any training, practice, or you're like, hell no?
No, like I would make things for the kids, like just small pieces here and there, but nothing. I don't think I could sew a straight line at the time. Nope.
So how did you get to the point of actually getting like a really good prototype? Because like I said, to have your own original product definitely is evolution. So how did you get to the point of like you got your first prototype?
I was like, I got it. Like I was looking at it and I said, if this is possible that I could pull this off, this would be perfect. So I had an attorney, and he got me in the right directions, to start the patent process. I called a manufacturer in New York that I had done a lot of research on, because my thing was I didn't want to get this out to too many people. I didn't want to call a lot of manufacturers and be like, hey, could you? I was babying it, So, it was a very reputable manufacturer in New York City. And he called me, we discussed it. He said, you know what, give me a chance. Let me see if I can do this, but I want the opportunity to try. And went to New York City and worked with him. And after 3 or 4 trips and a lot of going back and forth, like I said, it was about a year and a half before we were able to make a prototype that worked. And in all directions, from the snapping to the body, for it to be a one-piece bodysuit, to be able to fit the arms in and still shape. Like, it was a process, but we got it done.
So what were some of those things that happened throughout that process in that year and a half? Like, what were some of the challenges or issues or some stumbling blocks that you encountered, and how did you overcome those?
Well, finalizing my hysterectomy fell right in the middle of it.
Okay.
So that was a big deal. That actually put me into surgical menopause. So... and they just let it go naturally. My body at that point, from having the partial hysterectomy at 27, my body had been without hormones for 10 years at that point. So they were just like, forget it, just let it go. So that whole transition from being menopausal at, in my 30s was huge. So that was a struggle. But the prototype itself was... like when you button, just like a button-up shirt, towards the bottom, women are midsections below. With it being spandex, when you would sit, it would pull at those buttons. So that's the last thing we want. We want it nice and taut. And so I had to find a way to keep everything still in. So we just added an extra piece of spandex, and we stationary stitched like the bottom part of the button. So there's no choice but to keep it taut. So that stays in. So that was a big one. And then the fastening, the closures at the bottom. We initially started with snaps, and that wasn't enough because the compression was so tight that as soon as you would sit, the buttons would pop. Well, that's the last thing you want. So we ended up doing, they're almost like bra clasps. So, and they're adjustable, so you can do it as tight or as loose as you want. So those were the major things that we encountered through this process.
And what was like the patent process like? I mean, because I know a lot of people try to get their products patented and things like that. I have a ton of ideas, I feel like, that I can't create, but I feel like if I could find the right person, I could probably get it done and things like that. But what was that process like of trying to get your own patent?
Geez, that was nerve-wracking because you have a little waiting process where they
How
have
long
to
we
file
talking?
and then they have to see. Well, initially it was only, I think it was like maybe 10 days. I had to wait just to see if there was something out there like it. So they have to search it and they have to, make sure that you're, before you even proceed. And I got a call and they said, for however you did it, we don't know how you did it, but you found a loophole somewhere in women's shapewear. You found it. It did not exist.
Really?
So I went for it.
That's awesome. I mean, anytime someone finds their own niche and hasn't, trailblazed an avenue that hasn't been trailed yet, Like, you're the one. Like, we're sitting with the one.
I don't know how I did it. It just happened. It's like the paperclip. Like, who comes up with it? Like,
right?
It happened.
Like, I don't want to staple this together, but I do want these to stick together. But I don't want to use glue. But, like, I don't know how that works. But
it's just amazing how things happen sometimes, you know?
And then out of that started the fashion line.
Yeah.
And then, so take us through that process of, like, you know, starting to get the word out, or what was your way of starting to get the word out on this?
That was my toughest thing. It still is. Marketing is so hard, you know, and it really shouldn't be, but it is. I didn't take any marketing classes in college. I probably should have, looking back, but yeah, it was just getting myself out there. No one knew who I was. I wasn't from Pittsburgh. I didn't grow up in Pittsburgh. You know, being a stay-at-home mom down in Bell Vernon versus moving to the city, it's just establishing who you are. And people have to trust you, and they have to trust your product. And that's a big deal. If they don't know who you are, you know, who are you and what's your product, you know. But, yeah, that was, you know, initially it was just taking a lot of pictures and trying to promote the product and how it worked, which it was all on Facebook at the time. And, you know, you do Instagram and things like that, but word of mouth, you get women in, you get them to put it on, and then you hope that they believe in the product as much as you do and spread the word. That's kind of how it happened.
So how long has this been around? So it's 2018 right now. When did you, like, initially, would you say you started, like, pushing the product?
Initially, it was 2013. The prototype was finished in 14. And we really started pushing it towards the later part of 2014, early 2015.
And when did you start up your boutique?
It was a year. It was a year in April.
Year in April? Okay, so we just passed the anniversary. Congrats. Well, that's good stuff. And then out of that, also, you got Boutique of the Year. So you're killing it. So, like, what would you say is, like, the secret that, like, you getting that award and, like, getting the word out and things like that? What would you say is, like, the thing that got you to that award?
I never stopped believing in myself. Never. Like, as many times as I wanted to just give up, because it was never easy. There was not one part of it that was easy. And I thought it was going to be, I was naive. I was, this is going to be fun. I'm going to do this. This is going to be easy. No. But yeah, I never stopped believing in what I wanted. And I never stopped believing in what I could do. So, yeah.
Awesome. And what would you say is, like, you know, some of the best experiences you've gotten out of this year? What was, like, maybe some of the best knowledge or wisdom you got out of starting the boutique and moving forward?
Let's see. Knowledge-wise, you know what? You can be derailed in so many different avenues, especially in this industry. Just the best advice that I gave myself was just to stay focused on the road that I was going, the road that I was traveling. Because you can be influenced to start traveling other roads too, like, you know, and that's fine to, you know, work with other people. And you know, we're all in this industry, and sometimes you can meet some fabulous people, and I have met some great influential people. But just, you know, staying on course to where, you know, where Sottile Fashions is going. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's awesome. So where do you typically sell this? Is it only on the boutique? Do you sell it online? How does that work?
Well, Sottile Fashions has a Facebook where everything is posted there. Everything's in the boutique as well. I'm in the midst of finishing up the website.
Nice.
So that's a big step for us, because I think opening that market up on you know, a website is going to
Then you're open to everybody. I mean, I feel like, I mean, with you having such a great product and having it be so original, you're gonna blow up. Like, I'm telling you, like, that website get opened up and people start to discover you, you're gonna blow up.
Listen, I'm excited, but I'm so nervous at the same time. Like, I'm
so why
I'm
is
scared.
that? Right. Why is that? So take us through that process, like, because you're in the trenches right now. So for people that, you know, because you're experiencing it right now firsthand, like, why are you nervous? Like, take us through that feeling. Like, what are your expectations? What do you think may not happen, or, you know, what do you foresee it to be?
Well, initially it was always fear of failure. I didn't want to fail, for a multitude of reasons. You know, but most importantly for the 2 kids that were looking up to me. That was my biggest challenge. Now it is, I do get scared for the same reasons. You know what I mean? Like I do worry about, well, what happens if one day it just stops? Or what happens if I get so big that I can't keep up with my own business? Or what happens if it gets so big that I can't juggle being, a mom to my 2 kids as much as I get so teary-eyed when I talk about my kids. My kids are my everything.
Right.
But if I can't, provide for my kids the love and the time that I have with them now, like what if that just stops and I don't get that much time with them anymore? And it's all because I'm trying to build a business to provide them a better life, you know what I'm saying? And be able to do it on my own. So it's a lot on your plate, especially when it's just it's not just you.
Right. So how are you managing all those now?
I don't know that I am,
I mean,
I am,
right.
But, it's like I said, it's not easy. I pray a lot, and I just stay focused. I stay focused on where I've become, where I am and what I've become and where I was. And sometimes when I look back in the beginning, when it all started, it just reminds me, Jennifer, you've come this far. Look at what, everything you've gone through. Like, why would you stop now? Believe in yourself. And I have to keep reminding myself, even to this day, believe in yourself, because you can do anything you want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had a lot of growth and development. I mean,
yes.
you've grown a lot over time, and I can see the growth that you've had.
Thanks.
And it's just in just a short amount of time. Like, since we met, I mean, I just feel like the stuff that you've been doing is just phenomenal. Like, I'm so glad that we've been able to connect and me just being able to see the journey that you're on, because like I said, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in you. I believe in the work that you're doing, and I just see so many great things for it. So
thank you.
I think it's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to blow up. Don't be afraid. I'll be there. If you need any support or help or anything like that, someone to call, hit us up. Because, I think you're going to do phenomenal. So what do you see maybe happening, let's say, in the next 2 to 5 years? Like, what would you, I know you mentioned a little bit, but, let's keep it positive. What do you think will happen, or what would you like to have happen?
Well, everything's positive. Because there's no room for negativity when it comes to Sottile Fashions or my life. I have no room for it.
Right.
I've learned that along the way.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No room for it. But Sottile Fashions, what do I see? Listen, I see Sottile Fashions being huge. I like to keep my price line for all of my clothing affordable, because that's something that, whenever I was shopping, I was like, man, I don't know who pays this much for a sweater.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be, and I kind of just live by everything that I've learned along the way. I don't ever overprice anything. I try to keep it affordable and fun. I try to keep my fashions up to date and fun and just for everyone, and of all sizes. So yeah, I'm going to explode with I want to be like so much bigger. So
do you see like multiple stores or boutiques in the future? Like, would you like to franchise it, or would you just like to keep it a family based and maybe open up more? Like, what do you see for that?
I see other small stores. For sure. But everything when I think about the future of Sottile goes right into this website. I see a huge, warehouse.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Just, online shipping and just, exceeding expectations of women in fashion and what they want.
Right.
I want to be that one where everybody's like, have you seen, her clothes? Have you worn them? They're amazing. They're affordable. They're fun. Like, I want to be that one. Yeah, once you get online, the game is definitely going to change, because, like I said, you're open to everybody. So how do you work with, like, getting the supply and everything? Do you work closely, I'm assuming, with, like, your manufacturer and things like that? How does that process work? Because this is still kind of new to me. I'm still learning a lot. So what's that process like? It's fun, but it's challenging. You just have, ideas of things you want, and it all comes from things I've put on, like, man, I love this, but I wish it fit like this. And then it just, that's how it all starts. And then, you communicate back and forth. And then, he's been in this industry so long that it's just like, nothing for him to spit out what I'm looking for, and he has
the person that you're working with.
Yeah. So and then I have friends in LA, and they have clothes there too. Stores and so we all I sell their stuff in my store too. So it's all.
Do you sell stuff at their store too?
I do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you already making a little name for yourself out there too.
I guess so.
Yeah. No, you are.
See? You see?
You already expanded out there. Yeah. So you already get, people, once that starts to grow more out there, I mean, you're already building awareness out there too.
You're right.
I mean, another thing that I don't know if you thought about this. I mean, have you ever thought about reaching out to different boutiques in different cities and saying, "Hey, would you like to put my stuff in your store?"
You know what? I haven't yet. I haven't.
That's an idea. Something to think about as you are planning your global domination.
Right. It's happening.
Start hitting up the small boutiques in little cities, and then eventually, I got the website up. Oh snap! This person actually is in Pittsburgh. I could get this online. Game changer.
Game changer. Yes.
So yeah, definitely a lot. Like I said, a lot of big things that you could definitely do with it. So as we're getting closer to wrapping up to the end, if there's something that we didn't get a chance to talk about, or something that's on your heart or on your mind that you want to share or promote, or anything at all, or some great advice or tips for women, anything at all. I mean, what you have for breakfast, it don't matter. Like whatever you want to share. Yeah, I'm just spitballing whatever.
No, I get you.
The platform is yours to speak your whatever you like.
Okay. Well, like I said, Sottile Fashions all stem from what I was, going through at the time. And I think women, man, we got it hard these days. And that doesn't take away from men at all. But we put a lot on ourselves to be great. We put a lot on, we play a lot of roles in life. And, I think once we believe in ourselves, and we know that we're beautiful, and we know that we know what we're capable of, I think we're unstoppable. But I think it's getting to that point, which I struggled with for years. I mean, I was so broken that I just, I didn't know who I was. So I didn't really find myself. Mm. And I think once you truly find yourself as a woman, you can do anything. Like you're a source to be reckoned with at that point. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I think you just have to love yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and keep that bond strong with, God or, whatever spirituality you have. You have to have it, or you'd fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You definitely got to have that source of, some type of belief or faith in a higher power.
Absolutely.
To be able to keep you together, or else you would fall. But, I feel like you definitely have that together for sure. That you got that covered. So what's the best way people can, connect with all the amazing things that you're doing? Where's the best place for people to reach you?
Facebook, Instagram. A lot of people message me on Facebook, on Sottile Fashions, on their Facebook. So, I communicate a lot through there. Instagram, we have Pinterest, Poshmark even. So, we're like all over. And
these all these titles under the Sottile Fashions name?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And then 616 Brookline Boulevard is the boutique address.
Go check out the boutique. If you're watching this episode and in that area, go check it out. And if you happen to do, let us know, because we want to know who we're impacting. So,
that's right.
So that'd be good stuff. So and then lastly, as we get closer to wrapping up, what is a 24-hour challenge that you would propose to the audience to do? Because like I said before, we don't want people to watch this amazing episode, milestone episode 30, and not actually take action on some great information that you shared and things like that. So what's a 24-hour challenge that someone can do within the next 24 hours and actually accomplish that goal?
Accomplish that goal. Let's see. I think it would be important for women to be able to look in the mirror and look at themselves and say, I'm beautiful and I can do anything I want to do. Because at that point, it leaves no room for excuses as to why you're not doing what you want to do. So I think you do look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful and I got this.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So take some self-reflection, kind of, give yourself some positive affirmations in front of the mirror, kind of speak some of those things.
Absolutely. I think we need to have that. We need to have that talk with ourselves. Everyone does. Like we need to know who we are. If we don't know who we are, we can't expect the world to know who we are.
Yeah, I mean, I do the same thing for myself. I mean, I know for me, my time is when I'm in the car on my commute to wherever I'm going. It's like, this is going to be a great day. I'm going to kill it. I'm the man. Like, we're going to get this done. Like, that's kind of like my time to kind of get myself built up and get myself fired up for the day because I know great things are going to happen. Good is on the way. I'm speaking positive. I'm doing great things. I'm connecting with the right people. The right people are adding value to me and I'm adding value to them. So you just got to, start to say those things and you start to believe them. And once you, like you said, to your point, once you believe it, game over.
You are your best coach, you know?
Absolutely. I totally believe in that. And that was a great challenge. And if anybody that takes that challenge, we definitely want to see some great things happen for them too.
Absolutely.
So that's
100%.
awesome. So I definitely appreciate you
Thank
for
you.
being on the show. We got to do a part 2 because
Yes.
like I said, I already know, and this is on record. I already know Jennifer is going to kill it. And this is on the record because 2 years from now, we're going to replay this clip. I'll shoot it out to you and be like, I told you so.
You see?
Right.
Did you see?
Exactly. So we definitely got to do a part 2 in the future. So I'm glad you were able to come on to the show. So now that we know what Jennifer does with her 24 hours, we want to know what you do with your 24 hours. Definitely leave a comment down below. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next episode.